Let's go back to 1998 when the Valparaiso Crusaders shocked the world and knocked off Ole Miss. Dropping on by the show today is a two-time MCC Player of the Year. He was also Indiana's Mr. Basketball. He played for a number of seasons in the NBA as a first-round draft pick and is now the head coach after stints at Valpo and Vandy at Grand Canyon with the Antelopes. Joining us here on the show, Bryce Drew. Bryce, how are you?
I'm doing as good as we all could be doing with these circumstances going on. But thank you for the intro there. You had to dive deep into the archives to find out some of that information.
We'll get to all of it coming up here, but I do want to start with taking over at Grand Canyon because you've been in high major Division I, you've been in the SEC, you played in the NCAA Tournament. What is the allure of Grand Canyon State right now for you?
My wife and I had an opportunity to go see the campus, and we were just blown away. It's it's such a vibrant campus that's growing dramatically. In 2008, it had 1,000 students. Fast forward to 2020, it's got over 20,000 students and 70 online. So the growth has just been, remarkable. The president is fantastic. He's a visionary. He's very invested into sports, very invested into the community. It's a vibrant Christian campus that really goes out into the community of Phoenix and affects people and just helps the surrounding areas. So we were blown away when we got there, and it was something that we knew that we wanted to be part of.
You just took the job not long ago, hired as the head coach there, so you've only been on the job for a couple of weeks now, replacing Thunder Dan Marley. And from a basketball standpoint, you've been at the mountaintop in the NBA, you've been in the NCAA Tournament, and, of course, your shot lives in lore. If we go back to Mr. Indiana, though, that is one of the most pressure-packed kind of nominations or awards you could win in basketball. What does it mean in Indiana when you are Mr. Basketball?
Growing up in Indiana with basketball is different. You got like Indiana, you have Kentucky. There's certain states, how the South kind of cherishes football is how the Midwest area there, feels about basketball. So, growing up, obviously Mr. Basketball was a goal of mine, and I always saw who the Mr. Basketballs were ahead of me. And, it was an incredible honor. I was very blessed to be able to get it. It helped that our team made the state championship. We were 28-0 going into the state championships. We had a really good team that was fun to watch. But that's something, I'll always remember. I still have my ring, my Mr. Basketball ring, and, that's something I'm going to keep with me.
Bryce Drew is our guest this morning here on the show, the new head coach at Grand Canyon. And if we go back to 1998, you guys are the 13 seed, taking on 4 seed Ole Miss. And, of course, that game comes down to the buzzer, and everybody knows the shot that you hit. But going into that game, when you have double-digit seeds, big-time underdogs, there's always kind of a commonality, and that is we felt confident, and then the crowd kind of got behind us because we were the underdogs. Did you guys have that same story in that game?
We did. Same type of effect. We actually had the 11 a.m. tip-off game. I believe it might have been the first started game of the entire NCAA tournament that year. And so we actually took that as an advantage because we were used to playing some early morning games, and we had a lot of experience. We had 6 seniors, and so we were excited. It was 11 o'clock game, and there weren't that many people there to start the game. But as it became the second half and more fans started to come in, you could feel a shift, in the crowd, starting to cheer for us a little bit louder as people came in and the game was closer. It got a little bit louder for us. So it almost felt like a home game during stretches of that one.
If I ask you to set up the play and walk through it, are you going to be sick and tired of that question because you get that all of the time, or is it exciting to go back and relive that step by step?
It was such a unbelievable moment for our team, our program, just the university, the city. So I have no problem walking you through. So it was really unique that we had 3 seniors involved in the play, and the pieces were phenomenal. So we had a pro baseball player who was drafted by the Arizona Diamondbacks, was the inbounder. So he had a great arm. We had a forward who had a 40-inch vertical jump who turned down volleyball offers to go out to the Pac-12 to play basketball. So he was the best leaper on the floor. And so those guys had the hard part, making the pass, jumping, catching it high, throwing it in the air. And then, I got to do the easy part, just run down the sidelines and catch and shoot it. So it was three seniors, and the kind of the uniqueness of the play is that we had no timeouts. And so we had to call an audible on the court because they missed free throws. The ball relocated a different location. Time went off the clock. We had to call a different game-ending play. And I remember Jamie, who threw the ball in, he kind of audible first, hey, we're going to run pacer. And so we all knew exactly what to do. And it worked to perfection.
And so you catch it. Do you feel like you have a good look there, or are you just going to take that shot no matter if you got a guy draped on you or not?
D.A., it was such a blur. Like it happened so quickly from them missing the free throws to the ball getting inbounded and how it couldn't have worked any smoother than what it did. I actually thought the ball was going to be a little bit short when I shot it. And if you go back and play in slow motion, it skims the front of the rim and goes in. But then, I dove on the floor, and I don't even remember that. I saw it on TV, and I had no clue what I had done. So it was truly being in the moment.
Bryce Drew joins us as we reflect back on 1998 and his shot to beat Ole Miss in the first round of the NCAA Tournament. The buzzer beater goes in. It is one of the iconic shots ever in college basketball history. And then your run doesn't end there. You end up taking on Florida State in the next round. They had also pulled off an upset in the 5-12, and you knock off Florida State in overtime. Was there any emotional kind of exhale when you got into the next round, or was it, oh, you know what? We get to keep playing basketball. Let's just keep cooking.
The latter part of that, we had a lot of confidence going in that second game, a lot of adrenaline, momentum, and we weren't expected to be there. Even Florida State, though they were a higher seed, they were still supposed to beat us coming from the ACC. So there was a lot more pressure on them in that game than us. And we actually, I remember we played really free that game. Like even the first game, you kind of have the NCAA jitters a little bit. That game was, a game that we played a lot more freer with more confidence. Ended up, winning in overtime. And we felt like we played well enough that whole game to win.
And so you win that game, and then you dance all the way to the Sweet 16. Getting to the second weekend is really sweet because you get that full week of kind of soaking up the attention, looking forward to your next opponent. What was that next week like to think about your shot and to get all the attention that you guys did for it?
I almost wish we could go back. We would have played that next game like the next day or like 2 days after. We went back to campus, and it's hard to explain if you're not there. Our bus literally could not make it up to our gym because people from the city, students, everyone was just in the streets of the campus, basically not letting our bus pull all the way up. We had it was over 100 different media outlets in person, like on our campus, shooting from roofs of buildings and all kinds of things. And so needless to say, it was a wild week of just media attention, everything, that was going on. And it was a very quick week. We had a quick turnaround in St. Louis that next weekend. And we did not play as well that next weekend as we did the first weekend. I believe if we would have, we had a really good chance to keep advancing.
You guys ended up falling to Rhode Island 74-68, so the Cinderella run was over. But you had set your place in Valpo lore, college basketball lore, and I read somewhere that you are just alongside popcorn guru Orville Redenbacher as one of the great Valparaiso legends. Have you ever been asked to sign a box of Orville Redenbacher popcorn?
You know what? That has never happened. And wow, I've never thought about that. And so
when worlds collide.
Orville has a statue, downtown in Valparaiso there, and we drive by the factory where they first started making his popcorn. Obviously, they've moved and grown since then. But yeah, many people don't realize. Yeah, Orville Redenbacher, he's from Valparaiso.
Yeah, pretty cool.